Last week I had the pleasure of interviewing THQ's Brian Williams and spoke on various new aspects of WWE 13, so if you haven't seen the interview you can view it using the link in the description. Alternatively, stick with this video as we break it down and go into more detail. Okay, so the first thing we talked about was the Attitude Era mode, which was said to be broken down into 6 parts, beginning with the Rise of DX storyline. So if you haven't already seen it, the intro video to this storyline has been released, so I'll put a link to this in the description. Now, the DX storyline begins with Shawn Michaels versus Mankind on Monday Night Raw, and the reason that it appears to start here is that this was the very start of DX, as Shawn Michaels cut a promo backstage before the match in which he said that he had an insurance policy. Now, this turned out to be Triple H, Chyna, and a returning Rick Rude, who came down to ringside and interfered in the match to help Michaels defeat Mankind. Now, obviously, of the 3 that interfered, we'll only have Triple H in the game as far as we know, so it's likely that we'll only see him interfere unless Rick Rude is announced as DLC, which could be possible as he has been in past games, but as for Chyna, I don't see her having any chance of being included as DLC due to her current profession. Following the Rise of DX story, we'll then move on to Stone Cold, the Brothers of Destruction, which Brian confirmed Kane's debut will be included. Then it's on to The Rock, Mankind, and finally the end of the story mode, which takes place at WrestleMania 15. Now, I don't know exactly what the WrestleMania 15 mode contains, but here's a list of the matches that took place, with the superstars confirmed for the game in white and anyone else in dark grey, which shows that there are a few matches we could see with the exclusion of managers at ringside. For example, Mankind vs Big Show, Kane vs Triple H, Shane vs X-Pac, Taker vs Bossman, and Austin vs The Rock. Now, the other details that came out that Attitude Era part of the interview was some more info on the objectives that appear during matches, with Brian noting both primary and secondary objectives. The primary objectives are simple enough and see you win the match to progress in the story, but the secondary objectives are what you'll need to complete to recreate the match as it happened, which then unlocks the likes of additional characters, photos and bonus matches for you to play, so you can play as the likes of the New Age Outlaws, Mark Henry and other superstars that aren't part of the actual story. One thing I don't know for certain is how these will play out, so it could be that we'll play these matches in between the storied matches, but I think we'll probably see these added to the off-script section so that we can select them to play without delaying the story mode progression. Finally, the last bit of information we talked about in regards to the Attitude Era mode was the limitations due to the product being now rated PG, with Brian confirming that Stone Cold will have his middle fingers blurred in the game as shown in the released footage. Aside from that, we know we still have blood, but this can be turned on or off in the options menu, but doing so will actually affect the story mode when it comes to the likes of First Blood matches. One other thing that wasn't mentioned but was seen this week was the censoring of the word ass. Now, we've seen in Road Dogg's entrance that I had removed this from the theme, but it's an odd one in that the word is still shown in the New Age Outlaws Titantron and in crowd signs. Plus, I'm fairly certain we'll see the word pop up during the Rock story mode along with the PG friendly word candy.